Once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a boy named Jabari.
Excited to start my first day at Teenage Academy, I woke up before the sun rose.
He leaped out of bed, slipped into his colorful dashiki, white trousers, and sparkly black loafers. Scampering down the stairs, he grabbed a monumental slice of freshly baked bread and a mighty glass of the finest apple juice in the land. After packing his carefully tailored mosaic-patterned designer bag with supplies, Jabari stood outside his luxurious six-story mansion, eagerly awaiting his driver and his golden Bugatti. In the blink of an eye, however, Jabari found himself in a mystical forest. Exquisite trees lined the forest floor, their leaves swaying gently in the breeze. Majestic birds flew across the baby blue sky, singing melodies with their multicolored beaks, while fluffy green grass adorned with long white roses sprouted from the earth. But what captured Jabari's attention was the long golden sword protruding from the middle of the grassy field.
I wonder where the sword came from.
Slowly, he reached out his hand. The moment his fingers touched the hilt, a blinding flash threw him backward, and he found himself bound to a tree with shimmering chains. Unconscious and with his left loafer lying nearby, Jabari was left to the whims of fate. Hours later, Jabari woke in a small, darkened room. His hands and feet were tied to a wooden chair, and fear gripped him as his heart raced erratically. He tried to look around, but the dimness made it difficult. Suddenly, dreadful footsteps approached the door. When it creaked open, Jabari was startled to see a little old lady standing there with a warm smile, holding a glass of warm milk and a plate of cookies.
Are you comfortable, dear?
Please let me out. I promise not to tell anyone about the golden sword.
Don't worry about my precious sword. You won't remember it later, ha 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 ha. Now eat your milk and cookies like a good lad.
With an evil smile, she backed out of the room. Jabari knew he had to escape quickly. He began chewing on the rope binding him and after some effort, managed to break free. Standing up, he groped along the walls, eventually finding a light switch. Relief washed over him when the room illuminated, revealing only the brown chair he had been tied to. Standing on the wooden chair, Jabari reached up and pushed against the ceiling. With a grating noise, part of the ceiling gave way, and he pulled himself through the hole, hoping the noise wouldn't attract the sorceress's attention. He hid behind some boxes in the basement filled with dust-covered relics and cobwebs. A small window in the corner caught his eye.
Please open, please, oh please, oh please.
But the window remained stubbornly shut. Desperately, he grabbed a blunt object and smashed it against the window. With a loud crash, the window shattered and he fell through the opening, landing outside with a jolt. Jabari opened his eyes to a dark, starry sky. Groaning, he stood up, clutching his throbbing head.
Are you okay, young man? It looks like you took a pretty hard tumble.
Jabari looked around and saw a little owl perched on a nearby branch.
Yes, I think so.
Would you like a delicious worm?
No thank you. May I ask, who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not properly introduce myself. My name is Amar. Nice to meet you.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm Jabari. Can you help me hide from this crazy old lady who's trying to eat me?
Hoot 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 hooty.
Excuse me?
Do you not speak owl?
Chapter 5. The Hidden Cave. Confused by Amar's cryptic responses, Jabari decided to follow the owl. Amar led him to a dense thicket of trees, their branches forming a natural barrier. Jabari marveled at the surreal beauty of the enchanted forest. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the rustle of leaves was calming.
This place is enchanted. Do you know anything about the old lady or the sword?
Amar flapped his wings thoughtfully, then replied with a series of low hoots Jabari could barely understand. Just then, the ground trembled slightly, and a faint, shimmering glow caught Jabari's attention. It came from a cave entrance partially hidden by vines.
What's that?
Amar fluttered towards the cave.
Maybe it's a clue.
Jabari said, feeling a surge of determination. He carefully pushed aside the thick vines to reveal a passageway illuminated by a soft, golden light. Chapter 6. The Enchanted Cave. Jabari stepped cautiously into the cave, his heart racing with anticipation. The walls were adorned with ancient runes that glowed faintly. The cave seemed to stretch endlessly, with a soft magical light emanating from the depths. Amar guided Jabari through the winding tunnels, eventually leading him to a chamber filled with treasures, glimmering jewels, golden artifacts, and ancient scrolls. At the center of the chamber stood an altar with an ornate pedestal. Resting atop it was the magnificent enchanted sword Jabari had seen earlier. Its golden blade shimmered and intricate designs glowed along its hilt.
Wow.
Jabari approached the sword in awe, sensing its immense power. Suddenly the air grew heavy, and a spectral figure materialized before them, the spirit of the sword's guardian.
Who dares to claim the Sword of Destiny?
I am Jabari. I seek to protect this land from the sorceress who captured me. I need the sword to stop her and ensure that no one else suffers as I have.
The spirit regarded him with solemn eyes and, sensing his sincerity and courage, nodded in approval. Chapter 7. Confronting the Sorceress. Armed with the mystical sword, Jabari and Ammar made their way back to the sorceress's cottage. The sword's golden glow illuminated their path through the darkened forest. As they approached the cottage, the sorceress's malevolent grin turned into surprise and fear upon seeing the sword.
You return, but you will not stop me.
She raised her hands and dark magic crackled around her. Jabari gripped the sword tightly, feeling its power surge through him. With resolve, he faced the sorceress, determined to protect the land and his newfound friends. The battle was intense. The sorceress unleashed powerful spells, but Jabari, guided by the sword's magic, deflected them. The sword glowed brightly as Jabari struck back, breaking through the sorceress's defenses. With a decisive swing, Jabari shattered her magical staff, rendering her powers useless. Defeated, the sorceress fled, vowing to return one day. Chapter 8. A New Dawn. With the sorceress vanquished, Jabari returned home with a newfound sense of confidence and accomplishment. The mystical sword had fulfilled its purpose, and Jabari knew the forest was now safe from harm. As he arrived at his mansion, his family welcomed him warmly, relieved and proud. Ammar, the wise owl, perched on Jabari's shoulder as they entered.
Thank you, Ammar. I couldn't have done it without you.
The owl hooted softly in response. The days that followed were filled with peace and joy. Jabari resumed his studies at Teenage Academy, but his adventure had changed him. He was no longer just a boy eager for a new experience. He was now a hero with a story to tell. The sword was returned to its rightful place in the enchanted cave, and Jabari visited it often, knowing its magic would always be there if needed. One evening, as Jabari and Ammar sat watching the sunset, Jabari reflected on his journey.
Life is full of surprises, and sometimes the most unexpected adventures lead us to discover our true selves.
Ammar fluttered his wings in agreement, and together they watched as the sky turned to twilight, ready for whatever new adventures awaited them.